Welcome back, guys, to another top 10 of 2016. This time we got number 7, Energy Zone Fireburner, coming in at number 7 on the list of the top 10. So far, we've seen 3 North American players in a row. We had Garrett, we had Crow, and now we got Fireburner here. Fireburner is an absolute monster. He is the best defender and the best goal scorer on the best team in North America. He does basically everything for this team. Of course, like Sad and Jacob, they help him a lot throughout the entire year, but Fireburner has been at the top of the scene for an extremely long time. He's been with Kings of Urban since the start. He's the captain of the team as well. He's got great leadership skills for the squad, as well as leading them in-game while also doing it outside the game. He pretty much does everything, and he's been around for a really long time, and he never really gets the credit that he deserves, I think. Like, a lot of people always talk about Garrett or Kronovi as one of the best players in the world, but Fireburner's not extremely flashy, but he gets the job done, and I can respect that for sure. And a lot of that is shot location for Fireburner. He is a beast at it. That's why he usually is leading the North American scene in goals per game throughout some RLCS splits, like RLCS Season 2, number 1 in goals. But let's get into his history here. And we'll go through January, March at first. They were the Kings of Urban squad. And that was a Fireburner, Moses, and Jacob. And they finished 3rd place. Once again, both NA squads, it was Cosmic and Kings of Urban. They lost to the other European powerhouses. They lost the flip side 4-3 in the semis. Went all the way to 7 games. I believe that was the one where every single game was one off host on either side, which was pretty incredible. But again, if you haven't watched the RLC Pro League bracket portion, definitely try and find some VODs of that. It was pretty outstanding. They were the 1st seed in North America, though. They finished 22-8. They defeated teams like Makat NA, FTL, Orange Creamsicle, Untethered, and Apollo 11. The only team they lost to was IBP Cosmic during the regular season. Then they also defeated Supersonic Avengers, which at the time was Maestro, if I remember this correctly. Not Remco. Maestro, Greasy, and Lamp, I'm pretty certain was the starting roster. Or Snasky? I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but they beat them 4-2 in the quarterfinals. And, yeah, fought hard against Flipside. And once again, Fireburner, he was 2nd in goals per game throughout the entire Pro League. And that's going to be a trend that you'll see a lot from Fireburner. This man knows how to score goals. And again, he's not super flashy. Like, you probably won't see him on a lot of, like, top 5 plays. But when he has a shot, he makes the most of it. And it's all about shot location with him. And they had a pretty good Pro League, being tied for the best record in North America. And, of course, getting that number 1 seed coming out of North America. So they did pretty well for themselves there. Moving on, and once again, like throughout the entire year, Kings of Urban was basically top 2 in North America, besides when they weren't playing. So Fireburner leading his squad to a top 2 finish in North America throughout the entire year, basically. We'll move on to April through June. This is when they were performing pretty well. Rocket Royale International, they participated in 7 of 9. And they finished top 3 in 5 of those 7, which is pretty strong when you consider only top 2 from NA will make it into that Final 4. And then, of course, they still have to beat the European powerhouses. And at that time, Europe was incredibly better than North America. There was very few teams who could compete with the Europe side, and one of those teams, by far, probably the best team, was Kings of Urban. They came in 1st once. They came in 2nd. Again, I get to use the word thrice, 3 times for them, and then 3rd once as well. They performed really well in those tournaments, and then it was on to the RLCS qualifier number 1, and this was at the time when Cosmic was becoming that power team, that dream team, where everything was clicking for them. But Kings of Urban still, they came in 2nd, 23-12 regular season, extremely impressive. They were pretty close to Cosmic, where Cosmic absolutely dominated the entire season, but but they just couldn't win enough games. Like, I feel like Cosmic had a lot more 5-0s, 4-1s compared to Kings of Urban. Kings of Urban here or there made it a little bit closer. But they did finish as the NA second seed. They defeated Genesis 4-3 in the semifinals, and that was a really important match because that was the one where Sad Jr. just joined them at the time, right before the RLCS season started. And Genesis had to make do with Moses. So it was basically kind of a similar situation to Precision Z and Mock It from this season, was that Genesis was more of a team of circumstance, and they almost pulled it out, but just barely couldn't. Kings of Urban got the win, but then they did lose to iBuyPower in the finals, 4-2, and that was the one hurdle that for the beginning of the year that Fireburner and the boys just could not keep up with. But again, RLCS Season 1, Fireburner, number 3 in goals, only behind Crow and Gambit. And Gambit only played for half the season. And this is for both Qualifier 1 and Qualifier 2. And then he also was number 7 in saves, which isn't extremely high. But when you consider Sad and Jacob were at the bottom 4 for all players in saves, Fireburner was really leading the team on defense, but also getting enough work in on the offensive side, which was really, really impressive. That is why I chose him over his teammates. We're going to go over to a new replay here before we continue, and we'll get into that in a second. So we'll change this to that guy right here. Let's get this going. Hide that. All right, so that is why I chose him over Jacob. Like, I feel like Jacob could be somewhat comparable to Fireburner, but I still think it's not even close. Fireburner was so strong on defense, and then even in RLCS Season 2, they moved him up to more of an offensive role because they felt like they needed more offensive pressure, and it seemed like they started putting Sad Jr. in the back as that rotation, which at the same time, like, I think it limited Sad's ability, but it was a move that they thought they had to make to score more offensively, and that's just showing how strong Fireburner was, because he was so good on the offensive side. They wanted him up more, but he was still making clutch saves and after clutch saves. Sorry, but Sad Jr. Has said this before. Jacob has said this before. They can trust Fireburner so much when it's a 2v1, 3v1 on the defensive side. He really gets them out of jams a ton, and that defensive presence is one of the reasons. It's probably one of the major reasons why he's on here. Sure, he's a top goal scorer, but he also does it on the other side of the field in the same game, which is really impressive. He has really good rotations for that, and he makes the most out of his offensive opportunities. Of course, Jacob has said helped him a lot on that offensive side. I feel like Fireburner has a lot more help compared to Garrett, or even Crow at times, but Fireburner does use it so effectively. We'll see coming into the next split. Right now, it seems like Energy is staying together, but they've been rather quiet. So we'll see if they make any roster moves. So we'll see what Fire is doing in 2017. They had 2 disappointing lands, which we'll get into now. We'll go into quarter number 3. And they had a disappointing land. They had the number 1 seed, which is really impressive. Back-to-back North America RLCS champions, basically. They just could not perform at the land set. They lost to the Flying Dutchman 3-1, which was a huge loss. And I think a lot of that had to do. The first RLCS, there wasn't a lot of practice time for the players. There was a lot of trying to figure out how to set it up and all that. And I felt like the players didn't get as much practice time. And I think that actually really helped the Flying Dutchman in their more systematic approach. Nothing against Flying Dutchman, but I think maybe with more practice, maybe Kings could have pulled that out. But nonetheless, they lost 3-1. Then had to play flip side, and they lost to them 3-1 as well, which they made it more competitive there as well. But coming in 7th, coming in last at the land is not a great performance at all. But the 2 back-to-back North American Championships really helped them here. And then, of course, there was also Rocket Royales going on around this land time, which is why it was a huge surprise that Flying Dutchman beat Kings of Urban, because Flying Dutchman were doing absolutely horrible in their Rocket Royales on the European side, while Kings of Urban, they participated in 6 of 7, and there is no word for 4 times in a row. It's not FICE. So I had to write it out 4 times. They came in first, which is incredible. Incredible domination there. And 1 second place finish. So 5 out of the 6, they finished top 2. It was just once that they did not make podium. They absolutely dominated the North America scene. The only time they couldn't perform is when it was live, which it's hard to tell exactly what's going wrong. It seems like maybe it's a little bit of nerves, but we'll see. But I think Fireburner really wants to continue to go to these RLCS lands. It seems like his team's in a great place to keep making it back and back again, and we'll see if they can start to right that ship. But it didn't happen at the first one at all. And then we move on to quarter number 4 here, where they came in 5th, so they finally got a win. They finally did it, but it was also because they beat a North America team. They are 0-4 against European squads when it comes to the LAN setting. They lost to Precision 3-2, an incredibly close set. And I thought Fireburner was still playing pretty decent at this LAN. Like, I thought SAD was a little bit more of a letdown at RLCS Season 2 LAN. That's a really nice shot. But nonetheless, they lost to PZ. They did beat a Genesis. They absolutely dominated Genesis 3-0. And Fireburner set a couple of records in that. I think it was game number 2 of the Genesis series. We had the most assists in a single game. And then they went on to, once again, play Flipside. Did not work out for him. 3-1. But RLCS Season 2, again, throughout the whole regular season, they were the number 1 NA seed. They defeated Gen 4-1 in the semis. Absolutely dominated them. They had a rough regular season, I thought. A lot of close games, but they would pull out most of them. And then they just know how to turn it on during playoffs. Like, they're really clutch online for playoffs. It's just when it goes to the live final, they just have not been able to show it off. And at this point, I'm sorry, they were called NRG. They got picked up finally. Like, it took Kings of Urban forever to get picked up by a squad, but they got picked up by a really big org. And I was really happy for them, especially Fireburner, because he's been around for a really long time, using that Kings of Urban name, didn't want to take any sponsors too hastily, and finally they settled in on a really good one, so I was really happy for them. But again, yeah, first in North America, Fireburner, number 1 in goals for all North American players, and number 2 in saves across all North American players. Absolutely insane dominance around the entire field, and that's what Fireburner does. He's so good defensively, and he's such a good shot location shooter that he can finish off goal after goal after goal, which Jacob had said, applying that pressure, and they did it phenomenally well. They even started rotating Fireburner more on the offensive side towards the end of Season 2. We're about midway through, and it was really working for them. Just defensively, they took a slow step back because Sad Jr. is nowhere near Fireburner's skill on the defensive side, but I think it's more Sad Jr. is not used to that role. But Fireburner doing it all, the best team in North America, the captain of the best team in North America, and can score and can make tons of saves. You can't really count on Fireburner. 2017, I'm excited to see what the Energy boys do. Fireburner should probably continue to excel as much as he has. I wouldn't be surprised to see him here again, but once again, he's a very underrated player. No one really talks about him because he doesn't do anything flashy. You won't see him on the top 5 plays. You just see him scoring solid goals with good shot location, and his positioning is outstanding. So definitely look out for him in 2017. He's also doing analysis of some RLCS games on his YouTube, so go check that out if you want to get more in the mind of Fireburner, because he's a very solid, calm player, which I really respect in the scene. And I expect to see him excel even further in 2017 for North America. But that's going to do it once this replay ends. I actually don't know when this game ends. I forget, but I'll just keep praising Fireburner because he's a beast. And he uses Batmobile, at least in these replays. Which, I don't know. I'm not a fan. Not a fan, but, you know. That's here nor there. But, they just got to find a way. Like, Fireburner's got to find a way to beat these European squads, like, at a LAN setting. It could just be playstyle differences. Like, it seemed like last time at the final LAN, for at least the loss versus PZ, it's hard to really compare the Flipside loss because they look so dominant. But the PZ loss, they just give PZ a lot of time, and they just let them do what they wanted. Like, in North America, I feel like if you give a team time, they usually do less with the ball compared to European squads, and maybe if they can tone that down, then we can see them performing even better this year. But I honestly love Fireburner. I hope he gets more credit in 2017 than what I felt like he got in 2016. But look out for him, guys. He's an absolutely dominant player. The only reason why he's not higher is because the live setting. He just cannot win at the live setting right now, and I want to see more results out of him in 2017, because honestly, he might have to be that North America team. Like, he might have to lead that North America team back to the promised land or the promised land of a grand finals appearance, maybe even another championship for the North America side, because Europe is always really strong when there's a flip side, Northern Game, and then Mock It over there. So we'll see that, and I'm just trying to fill as much time as possible. I did not realize this was this long of an overtime. Fireburner will score soon, I bet. I don't even think Fireburner scores this. I have no idea. They might lose this game. I don't think they do, but it's fine. I'm just going to rant a bit. We'll see number 6 and number 5 this week, guys, on Wednesday and Friday. If you want to make some predictions for number 6, feel free to do so at the bottom of this video. And, wow, what a save. And, yeah. We're just going to watch Fireburner do his thing, making errors. That's okay. Like, it's always hard when you focus solely on a player where you just kind of choose a replay that, like, his score sheet looks good, but you don't necessarily know what moves he made in the replay. And everyone's going to make some mistakes in every single game. Like, I know a lot of people were saying with the Mike Rules one, it was at the first LAN, and that was also when a lot of people weren't playing as well, where he was making a lot of mistakes. But, you know, a lot of pressure there, and it's bound to happen. But yeah, I want to see what Fire does this year. I'm really excited. There's the Jacob shot. Not in. See if Fire can finish. Shot location. All right, it's a pass. You know, what can you do? What can you do? Longest overtime ever, guys. We'll go back to his pretty face. Oops, I did it the wrong way. There we go. Look at that. Look at that man. Hailing in from New York. I'm not sure where in New York. I think he's somewhere near the city. I should probably go hang out with him sometime. Maybe learn a thing or two from Fireburner. From the burger himself. Maybe grab a burger with him. Who knows? But I don't want to cut this off before this replay ends. Here it is! Nope. It's never ending. This might be that super long overtime that was a record. This might be. I can't remember what the game was, but it could be this one. Look, but just look at this pressure. Like, this was from RLCS season number 2. This was Deception versus Energy. And just look how dominant Energy's been through most of this overtime. They haven't put one in yet, but just absolute domination on the offensive side here. Really, Deception just can't get out of their own end. And when they do, usually they just send it right back out like here with Fireburner passing Jacob. Jacob actually got a little bit of a weak shot off that wall. But really no threat from Deception there on their basically one try on the offensive side. They're still holding it in, though. Still here, really no threat. A nice call off there from Jacob. Looks like Fireburner might not have a ton of boost, but see, once again, there was absolutely no threat. They were very calm on the defensive side. Fireburner, extremely calm defensive player. He knows how to play that 2v1, 3v1 scenario, so you don't really see him panicking a lot on defense because he's had to come up big a ton of times before for the Energy squad. Another demo play, and there it is, the demo to seal the game. Fireburner does it all, and that's going to do it, guys, for this top 10. Number 7, Fireburner. Come check it out Wednesday and Friday for number 6 and number 5. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.